On our screen, we have the default application that we get from the Flutter team every time we boot up a new Flutter project. And we're going to be using this to explain the setState primary method in Flutter. Um, the I think two things have changed in this code. Uh, I set debug show check mode banner to false, so which uh, which uh, which caused the debug banner here to disappear in my emulator. If I were to comment this out and then I will run this, you're gonna see that that debug banner. See here, uh, this uh, this is used by Flutter to remind us that we are in debug mode. So by default, this is set to true. So the debug show check mode banner by default is set to true. But then when we build a release, it automatically disappears. But then what I like to do is I like to do this anyway. So I'm going to run it and then it should disappear. Now, I'm going to try to explain what is going on here. This is our main .dat. It's in our library folder. You don't need to concern yourself with all of these folder structure for now. Maybe we're going to get into these later, but then this main .dat is where our entry point is. So we have the main method, which is the entry point, the entry execution for the .dat programming language. That's the programming language on which Flutter is built upon. And then the run app is the entry point for our Flutter UI. And then it takes a widget here. So this widget, which is my app, and this is this class, my app. It's a stateless widget, which might be a bit ironic because we're trying to explain state. But then if we scroll down, you realize we have a stateful widget here. So since this my app is not holding any state, so it's allowed to be a stateless widget. So inside my app, we are displaying this stateful my home page widget, and it's taking a parameter. It's a property now. It's a string, and it's set to Flutter state manager. So I wrote this. This isn't what you get out of the box. I wrote this, but then our business is here actually in class my home page. So this is extending a stateful widget. Now, every time we create a widget that is going to hold state, that widget has to extend this stateful widget. This stateful widget is built into Flutter. So our stateful widget has to extend it. Okay. Now we have a constructor here, which takes a property title. It's a string, so we have it here, and then we're calling it inside is a constructor. So and then we're using it here. We're setting the value here inside my app class. So let's go down here. Now our interest is in this setState widget method. So this is how we create a state. So we have this my home page, which extends stateful widget, and then this has this widget as a property. Since we are passing to another widget, we're going to create our own in a minute, and then we have this create state method. This create state method, it tells the framework to associate to associate a state object to this to our stateful widget. So this is the approach the Flutter has taken. We can do this as well. There's another approach we could take. So now in our class that extends the state class, we have this variable counter. Initially it's 0. Now we have this increment counter method, and then in here we have our setState method. Say this, now look at what we have here. This came from Flutter. This call to setState tells the Flutter framework that something has changed in this state, which causes it to rerun the build method below so that the display can reflect the updated values. So essentially, every time we call our setState method in Flutter, the setState method, it notifies the framework, that is, it notifies Flutter that the internal state of our widget has changed, and then it triggers a rebuild of our UI, which is a widget. So this is how we use it. So we call the setState method. This is just, I can just delete this. We don't need this anymore. So we call the setState method. The setState method, it takes a callback, which is void. So inside this callback, we can pass our data, that is our mutable data here. So this counter is 0 for now, and then inside the setState, we're incrementing it. So which means at some point in the application, we have to invoke this increment counter method, which is going to trigger our state to change, which in turn will notify the UI and then trigger a rebuild of our UI. So here we have the build method. It's returning a scaffold. So we have an app bar. So, and then in the app bar, we have this background color. Then it has a text widget. Is a widget or component now, and then it takes the title as the string. So if you look at here, it says so in the app bar, the title widget, the title, this title is here in this class. So this is another widget. So that's why it's saying widget or title. So we set it to Flutter state management. That's why here we're getting Flutter state management. So what else do I need to explain there? Okay, I said we have to call this increment counter method inside our build method. So we overriding it. Our build method, it belongs to the state class. So we're overriding it so that we can implement our own. So there is a body, which is it takes the center widget, and then takes another child column. We're going to be, for newcomers, this might look a bit confusing, because now like we're having widget inside widget, which forming some kind of widget tree. Okay, so here we're passing our counter variable, and then we have a floating action button here. The onPress property, it takes the increment counter method. So each time we click the floating action button here, the counter increases like so. See? Good. Now another thing the setState method does is apart from rebuilding our UI, it also rebuilds, every time our UI rebuilds, it rebuilds the widget tree. So we could have some kind of widget tree here. So we have inside this home page state method, we could pass another widget there, so which is going to form a widget tree. So That way, each time we click this floating action button, that it rebuilds this widget. It also build the widget that is inside it. This is what I'm saying. We could create another component here. So new that file. We can call this my widget dot dat, like so. And then let's say we want to create this could be a stateless widget, but because I want to show us how to create this stateful widget from the scratch, I'm going to make this a stateful widget. So we could have class my widget. No, my widget then extends you can extend stateful widget. So let's go down here, just get it to stateful widget. So no, I don't want to use Cupertino is for iOS. Material is cross-platform. Okay, so this is what we have. Class my widget extends stateful widget. So I'm not done. Now we need to call the create state method here, which is going to instruct our framework to associate a state object with our widget. So we're going to have create state like so, and then this is going to return a widget. So let's call this my widget state. Now we could do something like state here, and then there's a generic here, and then it's going to be my widget like so. So no, this is not quite accurate. Good. Now we still need to create this class. We need to create this class here. So here we could have class my widget state. I think my widget state extends state, and then this is generic as well, so it's going to be my widget, and then like so. Okay, now when you look at this, there's an it's expecting an override here. We're going to get into that. Now when you look at this and this, realize it's kind of a repetition. So one thing we can do is, instead of doing this, we can do my widget state here, my widget state, like so. Of course, because this create state method belongs to this stateful widget, we need an override here. So we're trying to override it anyway. See, so that warning is gone. And then we need our build method here, which also belongs to our state class. So we have to override that because we want to create our own. So then we can do widget. So the build method is a type of widget. Then we have build, and then this takes build context, and then here what's the issue here? And then here we could have return. What do we want to return here? Okay, let's return an empty container, like so. Okay, so all the errors are gone. But then before we do that, we can do print. What should we do here? my state widget like so. Okay, so what is this one is saying? Say constructors of public widget should have a name key. Do I really need to do that? Okay, so that warning is gone now. Don't worry about this, we're good. So what I'm trying to say is, so we've created another stateful widget, although this is not holding any state. Like I said, I'm deliberately creating this so that we see how the implementation of the stateful widget start from the scratch, because the other one we displayed was created for us by the Flutter team. Now we can pass this my widgets into this my home page. And so here we have we have pushed the button this many times, blah blah. So we can have something like that. We can pass it here. We can do my widget. So this imports it automatically. So now this forms a widget tree, because now we have another widget here which we are passing here. So this widget is printing my state widget. So every time we interact with this widget, not only does it rebuild this widget, it rebuilds the my widget component as well. So I'm going to rerun this, and let's see what we have inside our emulator. So this is what we have. I want us to check this place in particular. So let's go. I think we have print. So if I click this, so it's my state widget. If I go again, see, each time it's rebuilding this widget, it also rebuilding the my widget components that we created here. So each time it's rebuilding both. So it's rebuilding the widget tree. So we can increment every time we get this print my state widget like so. So that's just a basic implementation of a setState method. We're going to look at more advanced example in the next video.